Well, this isn't exactly a quiz, but it's something like one. So if you notice something that I haven't said, like the name of a game, well, that's a hint, then just go ahead and speak it out. In 17th century England, there was a game that was very popular, a parlor game. And people would come together for special social occasions, and this was the entertainment. Or at Christmas time, this was the entertainment. The name of the game back then was Questions and Commands. Questions and Commands. And so the leader would ask of each of the participants either a question or issue them some sort of command that they had to do. We got a little bit, some people didn't want to participate. And so there was a forfeiture. So, Rick, if you don't want to participate, $10. Bring it up. So we're not there. But you probably remember some kind of a game that's similar to that. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Truth or Dare. Oh, Peggy, you are on top of it. I like that. So, in Truth or Dare, if one is really playing in this game genuinely, you have to be vulnerable. There's risk. There's also anticipation. Who knows what somebody else is going to say? Could be an interesting thing that you'll talk about for a week. But it comes down to this. For truth, each participant is saying as they engage, I am revealing something about myself. Yeah, that's a little vulnerable, a little risky. And for someone who is saying dare, they may be given an assignment. And they say, I will temporarily surrender control and let the group direct my behavior. Ooh, that's scary. But it happens that when somebody plays that game, say there are 6 of us together here, and we play that game and we go around, the level of trust as we genuinely share rises. We grow in trust from a simple game like Truth and Dare, but there's more to this message on growing in trust. Let me tell you what I think of when I think of trust. I think of willingness to rest in what is deeper than your immediate perception. Maybe something you can't see. Joel Goldsmith called it the unlimited invisible. The unlimited invisible. And of course, that manifests in form, as we've spoken about in our gratitudes. Trust is also a movement from control to allowing. If you're a good Taoist, you've got this all down, but letting go of control and allowing. I don't know about you, but I've had a little challenge with that here and there. And trust is also an inner movement from fear to faith. And that's why we chose the theme, Fearless Faith. We move from that fear consciousness to that faith consciousness, being able to believe with confidence. So 3 things I want to talk about in terms of trust. First of them is trusting life. We've often heard, well, the universe is backing you up. The universe is supporting you. Gaia, the universe is supporting you, particularly at this time. We talk about the goodness of all things, how everything works together for good. But trusting that universe doesn't happen all at once. It's a process. So we might say as well, trusting the process as we trust the universe. Circumstances unfold, and you have no demand that you know the outcome beforehand. Wouldn't you? On so many things you'd like to know how it's going to turn out. Trust says it's going to turn out. Maybe even better than I thought it was going to turn out. And so I trust. Now, trusting in life is something we do all the time anyway. Gravity says that, here I've got a little pin in my hand. If I take this pin and I drop it, it's going to go to the floor. If that pin was a pot of boiling, there is within you a deep intelligence, something that goes beyond your fearful mind, your analytical mind, and it's you. It's you. But sometimes you're not able to do that, not able to trust yourself. Trust that divine intelligence within you, trust that goodness that's within you, trust all those gifts that you've been given. You're stuck in a little bit of self-doubt. I'm guessing you may have been there as well as me. We used to call it wishy-washy. Can't make a decision, wishy-washy. But it also may be that you think, well, I'm not deserving of the good that I really want. Or somehow I'm unworthy. And then, in terms of trusting yourself, how about this phrase that we say all the time? I don't know. So, instead of thinking about what's wrong with you, reflect again on the teachings we talk about all the time. That you were created in perfection. Doesn't matter if you believe them 100%, just let them go through your mind. Rehearse them if you will. The truth that you're fully divine. The divine always being in you, not only are you fully human, you're fully divine. The truth that you're gifted with unlimited powers, and we talk about the 12 powers and bring them in often, and there are others. What about knowing that you know more than you think you know? So, kind of cut down on those I don't knows, because you know more than you think you know. I love that. We talked about your hearing aid. You could have been wandering around your home and saying, I don't know where that went. I don't know. And at one point, you kind of relaxed and said, okay, one more look. You allowed, and guess what? You somehow went back to a place and you knew something that you didn't know before. That's miraculous. I like that idea of finding things. I have some ideas about that myself. But how about if you could believe that anything is possible? Anything. That's what Scripture tells us. That's what I believe. How about that? But you might be stuck in self-recrimination. Done this right. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. I just haven't done it. I really was out of line when I talked to somebody. I don't know if they'll ever forgive me. Well, the good news is forgiveness is always available. I was reading a book from Paul Farini, and he had an example in there. Senason. Anybody know what a senason is? It's one who studies truth. It's a monk. Someone who, perhaps a hermit. One who's just fixed and focused on truth. However, they're still human, and they make mistakes. And the tendency, even for these exalted beings that maybe have a little bit of a head start on us. Here's what a disciple of the Guru Rev Neal had to say. A citizen does not escape. And if he does not beat himself up for that. And if he beats himself up, he does not feel guilty about that. And if he does, he accepts that he does so. And if he can't accept that, he accepts that he doesn't accept it. We've got a lot of things to, go back on. But if we would learn, before we go through that whole litany, to say, I am a created being. I expect all things to work out for me. I make mistakes, but they're always something that I can come back from. So the Saison has limited his attachment to the physical world. This one who has studied and meditated for a long time, and perhaps there's some of that in some of you. But there's always this for all of us. Of course, Marianne Williamson had something to say about this. She talked about fear first. Our greatest fear is not our inadequacy, she said, but our immense power. Our immense power. Our brilliance, our greatness is lost on us sometimes. Who am I, she says, not to be brilliant, not to be gorgeous, not to be talented, not to be fabulous. So it is for you. So it is for me. But we sometimes run into difficult challenges. I don't like the word problems. I'm trying to stay away from it, so sticking with challenges. Eric Butterworth says, don't run away from it. Go through it. Here's what he said, and I like it because it fits so well with what we're talking about today. You don't go around it. You go through it. And in going through it, you grow through it. So this trusting yourself, how do I do that? Well, I got an idea for that one too. How about this? At the end of the day, ask yourself the question, how did I trust myself today? Just look for one example. I suspect by the end of the 30 days, remember, I'm going to challenge you to do this for 30 days. Trust yourself. One more trust, trusting inner guidance. The scripture in the Proverbs, that book of wisdom. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not rely on your own insight. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your path. That's an old translation, and that's kind of one I learned a long time ago. Familiar, but I have to do a little bit of interpreting. In Unity, we talk about taking sacred texts and interpreting them metaphysically, knowing that there's a truth that's deeper underneath all of that. And we look for that truth as much as we look for the words. So when it says trust in the Lord, the metaphysical interpretation of the Lord is the divine consciousness within. It's not some master. The Lord is that divine consciousness, that creative divine consciousness within. Trust in that consciousness within, the divinity that is part of our state. But how do we get in touch with that divine consciousness and get the guidance that we need along the way? For some of us, it may be an audible voice. There may be a sense at which, when we're querying, we want to know of the divine. What about this? What about that? You may hear that voice behind. Scripture that talks about sometimes, you want to know, am I going to go left or am I going to right? There's somebody with the I don't know thing going. And then it goes on to say, there's a voice behind you that guides you. How do we get in touch with that? The audible voice, maybe, but maybe not for most of us. For some of us, angels. You know, who are angels? Who really thrives on talking about angels and connecting with angels, understanding the role of angels? I don't know, a couple of hands. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 hands here. That's one way for that divine guidance, that inner consciousness coming to you in that particular form. Then there's spirit guides. I got one I've had for maybe 50 years. Hector. That's just my guide's name. Oh, Hector's an elephant, but there's that when I am in meditation, as though I could dialogue. And it seems to be Hector, but it really is a dialogue with myself, with my higher self. Of course, there's meditation and contemplation and sitting in silence. And then there's nudges, spirit nudges. I love nudges. I get a lot that way. A lot in my meditation, but I get a lot of nudges. For many years, I thought I was going to have a career as the manager of a home store like Home Depot, but one that was in the Midwest, only in 12 states. Not quite so big.
Menards.
Oh, one of you know that, Menards.
Yeah.
Menards. Well, you've probably seen that on a race car or something like that. It gets around. So I worked my way up in Menards to being the manager of the millwork department. And while I was doing that, it was a very stressful job. It was actually a privately owned company, and there was a lot of stress on managers. We were required to work split shifts, because that's when the business went, in the morning and in the afternoon. So we went home midday. And it's strange, I don't think we do that much anymore, but that was the case. It being stressful, one day when I went home for my midday break, I had a stroke as I was driving. Didn't know it at the time. Called a friend and said, get to the hospital. And I thought, well, I'm feeling okay right this moment. I think I'll drive. Didn't work very well. Fortunately, the police officer was someone who understood that it wasn't a problem with having imbibed some drink or something like that, but in fact it was a medical issue. So I was taken to the hospital 3 days, given all the testing, said, yeah, you had a stroke, but I didn't have any lasting effects. I thought, I'll just get out of this high-pressure store and go to another store down south in a small place. I'll be all right. I can fix this by changing my location. Guess what? Didn't work. The same challenges, some of them being big patio doors falling on me. At least try and get they were there in both places. And then I got the nudge. I had corresponded with someone I'd met on a spiritual site by email, and that someone was in Sweden, so it was a ways away. The invitation came one day, come visit in Sweden. You're muted, right? The combination of all that was happening and that totally different and unexpected direction gave me that nudge I was talking about. And I just did it. Packed up my apartment, stored things, and went to Sweden. Well, about a year and a half and a little bit more later, having been in India for a year and a half, that was after Sweden, I had a bit more of an understanding how a nudge can lead you to some fulfillment that you didn't expect to have. Trust. Trust in divine guidance. Psalm 37 was made into a song. I'm going to sing. Get ready. And here it goes. I'm going to give 2 of the verses. There are 4 of them. Commit thy way to the Lord. Commit thy way to the Lord. Trust also in him. He shall bring it to pass. Commit thy way to the Lord. Did you get the trust in there? And the Lord being that divine consciousness within. The messengers. And this is the one that's hard for me.
I sent this.
Rest.
We can restart now.
Rest in the Lord. Yes, rest in the Lord. Rest in the Lord, patiently wait for him. Yes, rest in the Lord. I don't think I got all the notes right, but you get the idea. Divine guidance is something that's accessible to us. We have to be a little patient with it. But it's there for us. So how do I do that? Well, there's nothing like trying out something. I'm going to suggest that we just take a moment, be quiet again, to clear your mind and make your body and your emotions still. Keep coming back to it if your mind takes you away. But sit in the silence. So what would you be guided in regard to? What is some guidance that you'd like to have, something you'd like to have that's sure and solid, that you can trust, that will work well for you, that will work for your good? What comes to mind? Something for which you need guidance. A moment in the quiet. See what emerges. you can come back to this time and this place again. You may have gotten that question. You may even have gotten a nudge or an inkling of what's the answer, what the guidance is for that. Let's go back to that, how to do it all together. Terry, I'm going to email you this afternoon the 3 points that I'm going to make here, and would you put them in the newsletter? I see a shake of her head. So you can go back and find them there in the newsletter, which you get tomorrow morning. For 30 days, let's try this. I'm going to try it. I'd like to have you try it with me. 3 things. Put that affirmation on your mirror. You can change it a little if you want to. It'll be in that newsletter, so you'll see it there. Today, I trust the universe as never before. First thing in the morning. Today, I trust the universe as never before for 30 days. It's a little bit of discipline, but you can do it. And at the end of the day, ask yourself the question, how did I trust myself today? And then find 5 minutes. If you're a meditator, find 5 minutes other than the time when you normally do your meditation. Find 5 minutes and sit in the quiet. Just sit in the quiet with open ears, those inner ears, listening for the voice of Spirit. That's it. 30-day challenge. I hope you'll be with me. If you're gonna work it with me, send me an email or a text. Let me know. We'll work it together. I suspect that you will grow in trust. Remember, truth or dare? The one who plays genuinely says, I will be vulnerable. I will be truthful. I will relinquish control. That's because of a growth or a potential growth in trust. Trust that says, I don't have to know what happens next in order to be present for what is happening now. So it is.